ATC control to all aircraft. This is Atlas One Executive Podcast Network. You are now cleared for the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint. Season 1, Episode 8, How Winners Think. Building a repeatable federal growth system before opportunities exist. Cleared for takeoff.
Roger that, Control. All systems nominal. Episode 8 is go.
Welcome back to the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint. I'm John Cornish.
And I'm Maya Chen. Today marks the conclusion of Season 1. Over the past 7 episodes, we've explored a completely different way of thinking about federal subcontracting. We've learned that success isn't found by chasing solicitations. It's created through intelligence, preparation, positioning, and relationships. Today, we're going to bring everything together.
Throughout this season, we've challenged some common assumptions. We questioned whether waiting for opportunities was the best strategy. We discovered that federal awards tell stories. We learned that prime contractors leave breadcrumbs. We explored where they actually find subcontractors. And we discussed why executive relationships matter more than many people realize. Today's episode asks one final question. Why do some companies seem to win consistently while others remain trapped in an endless cycle of reacting?
At first glance, it often looks like successful companies simply have better resources, larger teams, more experience, bigger marketing budgets. But after working with many organizations, you've observed something different.
I have. The biggest difference isn't usually resources, it's thinking. Successful companies think differently long before they act differently. They don't begin with, where's the next contract? They begin with, what kind of company do we need to become so opportunities naturally come our way? That's a profound shift.
Winning companies build systems. Reactive companies chase events.
Let's compare two fictional businesses. We'll call them Company A and Company B. Both offer similar services. Both have experienced leadership. Both are registered in sam.gov. Both want to become federal subcontractors. On paper, they're nearly identical, but their daily habits are dramatically different. Company A. Every morning begins the same way. Open sam.gov, search for opportunities, download solicitations, read requirements, panic about deadlines, send generic capability statements, hope someone responds, repeat tomorrow. Business development happens only when an opportunity appears.
And Company B?
Company B, Monday morning begins differently. Review recent federal awards. Study usaspending.gov. Research prime contractors. Identify new executive contacts. Review procurement forecasts. Update supplier registrations. Strengthen LinkedIn. Publish one thoughtful industry observation. Maintain executive relationships. Review capture priorities. Business development occurs whether opportunities appear or not.
Both companies are busy, but only one is building long-term momentum.
Exactly. Activity doesn't always produce progress. Intentional systems do. Motion keeps you busy. Momentum moves your business forward. Let me walk through what I've seen repeatedly. Company A's owner opens sam.gov every morning, scrolls through opportunities, finds something that looks promising, downloads the solicitation, realizes the deadline is in 11 days, panics, rushes to write a capability statement, sends it cold, hears nothing back. 2 weeks later, another opportunity appears. Same cycle, same panic, same result. Months pass, maybe years. The owner starts to wonder if federal contracting actually works. They attend a webinar, hear someone talk about a big win, think, what am I doing wrong? The answer is usually nothing. Their capabilities are fine. Their pricing is competitive. Their team is qualified. The problem is the system, or rather, the absence of one.
So what does Company B's system actually look like in practice? Walk me through their Monday morning.
Company B's Monday begins with intelligence gathering. First, they review federal awards from the previous week, not to chase those specific contracts, to understand trends. Which agencies are spending? Which primes are winning? What capabilities are in demand? Then they check usaspending.gov. They look for patterns in their target agencies. They identify 2 or 3 prime contractors worth studying. They visit those companies' websites, review their supplier portals, check LinkedIn for recent executive activity. By Tuesday, they've identified one new relationship to develop. Maybe it's a program manager at a mid-tier contractor. Maybe it's a small business liaison at a major defense firm. They don't send a cold email. They engage with that person's content first. Comment on a LinkedIn post. Share an industry article. Begin the process of becoming visible. By Wednesday, they're updating their own registrations, ensuring their sam.gov profile is current, their capability statement is refreshed, their past performance database is organized. By Thursday, they're publishing a thought leadership article, an industry observation, a case study, something that demonstrates expertise without selling. By Friday, they're reviewing what worked this week, what needs adjustment, what relationships advanced, what's the priority for next week.
That's a completely different energy. Company A is reactive. Company B is intentional.
Exactly. And here's what's remarkable. After 6 months, Company B has built something Company A doesn't have: a system. They have relationships developing across multiple prime contractors. They have a visible presence in their industry. They have registrations that are current and compelling. They have content that demonstrates expertise. They have a reputation that's growing organically. When an opportunity finally appears, Company B doesn't scramble. They're already known, already positioned, already trusted. The opportunity doesn't feel like a race. It feels like a natural next step.
You've mentioned something called the growth flywheel. Explain that concept.
Imagine a heavy wheel. At first, pushing it requires enormous effort. You're straining, barely moving. Each push feels like it produces nothing. But slowly the wheel begins to turn, and as it turns, it builds momentum. Each push becomes easier. The wheel starts contributing its own energy. Eventually, it's spinning on its own. You're not pushing anymore, you're steering. Federal business development works the same way. The first 6 months feel unproductive. You're building registrations, creating content, developing relationships, studying the market. Nothing seems to be happening. But underneath the surface, something powerful is forming. Your name starts appearing in the right conversations. Your content starts reaching decision makers. Your registrations start matching incoming requirements. Your relationships start deepening into genuine trust. Then one day, the phone rings. A program manager you met at an industry event 6 months ago says, "We just won a new contract. We need someone with your capabilities. Are you interested?" That's the flywheel working.
So the effort compounds over time.
Dramatically. The first opportunity is the hardest to earn. It might take 9 months, sometimes 12. But the second opportunity usually comes faster because you now have a past performance reference. You have a relationship that's been validated. You have a track record that reduces risk for the next prime contractor. The third opportunity comes even faster. By the 5th or 6th, primes are approaching you. Not because you changed your capabilities, because you built a system that made those capabilities visible to the right people at the right time.
That's the opposite of how most people think about business development.
Most people think business development is linear. One effort produces one result, but it's actually exponential. Early efforts produce almost nothing. Middle efforts begin compounding. Later efforts produce results that look like luck from the outside. It's not luck, it's a system. And that brings us to something critical. The difference between Company A and Company B isn't talent. It isn't budget. It isn't experience. It's discipline. Company B made a decision. They decided to build a system instead of chasing events. They committed to the process even when it felt unproductive. They trusted that consistent effort would eventually compound, and it did.
Let's step back and look at the full picture. Over 8 episodes, we've covered a complete transformation in how someone can approach federal subcontracting. Let me walk through the journey.
Please do.
In Episode 1, we challenged the assumption that government contracting is only for large corporations. We introduced the idea that thousands of companies have built successful federal businesses starting from scratch. Episode 2 explored the 3 entry lanes into federal contracting: direct contracting, subcontracting, and teaming arrangements. We showed that subcontracting is often the fastest and lowest risk path. Episode 3 introduced us to sam.gov. We learned how to search for opportunities and understand the language of federal solicitations. Episode 4 took us deeper into the money trail. We explored usaspending.gov and discovered how to follow federal dollars to identify which agencies are spending and which companies are winning. Episode 5 taught us that prime contractors leave breadcrumbs. We learned how to reverse engineer federal awards into actionable intelligence about potential partners. Episode 6 showed us where prime contractors actually look for subcontractors. We explored supplier registration portals, sam.gov, LinkedIn, and the other platforms where procurement professionals search. Episode 7 was about relationships. We discussed the relationship pyramid and the 90-day relationship launch plan. We learned that trust is accumulated, not requested.
And today, in Episode 8, we brought it all together. We explored the difference between reactive companies that chase events and proactive companies that build systems. We introduced the growth flywheel and showed how consistent effort compounds over time.
Looking back at the entire season, what's the one message you want listeners to carry forward?
Federal subcontracting is not a mystery. It's not reserved for insiders. It's not dependent on luck or connections. It's a discipline. Like any discipline, it rewards preparation. It rewards consistency. It rewards strategic thinking. The companies that win in federal contracting aren't necessarily the biggest or the most experienced. They're the ones that approach it systematically. They build intelligence. They build positioning. They build relationships. They build systems. And those systems produce results. Not overnight, but reliably, predictably, compounding over time.
If someone is listening to this episode having followed the entire season, what should they do tomorrow morning?
Start. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you have a perfect plan. Open sam.gov. Search for recent awards in your industry. Identify one prime contractor worth studying. Visit their website. Find their supplier registration portal. Register. Then do it again next week and the week after. Build the habit. Build the system. Trust the process. The federal marketplace is enormous. There is room for companies of every size, but only the prepared will find their place in it.
That's a powerful closing thought for Season 1.
Thank you for joining us on the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint. This is John Cornish.
And this is Maya Chen. We'll see you in Season 2.
ATC control to all aircraft. This concludes Season 1 of the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint. Thank you for flying with the Atlas One Executive Podcast Network. Remember, winning companies build systems. Reactive companies chase events. We'll see you in Season 2. Roger and out.
Copy that, Control. Until next time, clear skies ahead.